Hello and welcome back to the 100-day art challenge. On this occasion, instead of using the normal surface, which is the inside of a picture frame and the piece of paper inside which shows the measurement of the frame is flipped over for the thick paper textured side, instead I decided to use a flattened piece of toilet roll cardboard. I've saved a lot of these over the years, and I think it's because I find them to be an interesting surface area which I've seen in other exhibitions as well, but kept in the roll form, which I thought was really nice, that someone had done some kind of printing on them, but they were still in the rolls, in the tubes. And on my collection, or in my collection, I have flattened a lot of them. Some of them are in diamond shapes, but several others are these rectangles. The subject for this picture is a chap called Seth Andrews, and I often watch him doing talks online, and I thought I would draw him. Now, I don't mean to insult him by doing him on toilet roll. It's nothing to do with the person or the topic or anything like that. It's quite the opposite. I just find value in the toilet roll surface. I think that cardboard is generally just something which I always try to use if I can. It's because it's normally thrown away, and it makes me have less hesitation when I'm making a piece of art on that surface that was going to be discarded as rubbish, and instead it becomes something which I can scribble away on and make something without as much hesitation. I feel uninhibited because of the lack of value inherent in the surface area. Now, with this portrait, I push back and forth a little bit, so it has an interesting process which is not included in the other portraits. And you'll see it happen because I normally struggle with trying to find how to describe the eyes. I spend a lot of time on the skin, whereas on this I've got down a basic flat skin area. I've dotted in some eyes, I've put in some very loose glasses, started to work a little bit on the hair, and it's different to how I normally work. So I now have to refine everything in a big circle. I start to work on the hair, then I go back to the skin, and then part of me will think about the eyes, and then I'll go back onto parts of the beard, or I'll work on the clothing. It just all goes in a spiral, just round and around and around. See, I'm back on the hair there, and then I go back to something else, and it's just all quite distracting because none of it is really true to what I'm trying to capture. Seth Andrews is a good-looking man, and what I've got on the surface here is odd. Now, by the end, I don't have something which is especially a good likeness to who he is, but it's at least a lot more time and effort than the initial few marks that feel a bit rushed and a bit mismeasured. But my main issue is the eyes for this portrait look like manga eyes. They're far too big, and they need making smaller. This is the push and pull that I normally don't have to do. So what I'm doing is I'm getting a nice light tone to narrow where the eyes are going to sit on the face, and I'm trying to make the space a lot more realistic and proportionate to the other features on the face. I don't want the picture to look like a cartoon. It doesn't have to look like a photograph. In fact, I'm glad it doesn't. But I certainly don't want it to look as though I'm trying to make him look like an anime character, because that's not my intention. I just want a bit of nuance. I want some interesting colours and some clear tonal description of what happens on the face and around the skin area. But now that I've narrowed the eyes, I'm a lot more comfortable with what they're doing on the surface, but I still need to do little touches to warm up parts of the skin and make sure that the eyes don't go too round, too large again, because that was unrealistic and I was dissatisfied with the aesthetic. Not just because of it lack of likeness for Seth, but also it just didn't look like it would sit with the other portraits I've made with oil pastels. It would look like a different approach and a different style. The eyes are a very important feature on a portrait, and the size of the eyes are a crucial stylistic choice and measurement that you need to make. Now, for everything else, it can go a little bit wild, a little bit more experimental and pushed around, and I don't mind that so much. But I do want certain features on the face, the nose, the eyes, the mouth, to have a certain degree of truth to them, even if they are still impressionistic. For anyone who's unaware, Impressionism is an approach where you don't render things too finely. You make sure that you leave things painterly, with movement, with broad marks, and it gives off this realism from a distance and this looseness and this abstraction the closer you get. And a lot of the time when I try to use oil pastels, I'm trying to harness these things, these qualities of having a painterly like effect on the surface, but also being able to blend them with each other in order to create this illusion of texture. And I do enjoy that.